Can't you see they're white and nerdy? Can't believe they're white and nerdy. Holy cow, they're white and nerdy. Hi guys, it's Ahsante, and for a long time I didn't think I belonged in Nerdfighteria. I discovered Nerdfighteria around 2012 after watching a lot of Karen Cabot videos. I liked Karen, and she was vlogging a lot about graphic design and also about Nerdfighter gatherings, so I checked out the Vlogbrothers and I liked their channel too because they were having intelligent conversations about complex issues. And from there I started watching other people who also identified as nerdfighters. So after watching a lot of nerdfighter videos, I had heard two things about nerdfighter qualifications. The first was, if you want to be a nerdfighter, you are a nerdfighter. And I heard that and I thought, great, I like this community, I seem to be connecting with these issues, this would be a great thing to be a part of. But the second thing that I heard was, if you think you belong here, you probably do. And that's what got me hung up, because I wasn't sure if I belonged. From my vantage point, when I was initially looking around, there were no black nerdfighters anywhere to be seen. The first black nerdfighter that I stumbled upon later was Jessie, and she made me feel a lot more comfortable with being a black nerdfighter. She has some great videos on race and Nerdfighteria. I will definitely link her. So since this was an overwhelmingly white group, I wasn't sure if they were friend or foe. As I discussed in another video, being a black person coming into an all-white space, you have to be very cautious. Are they allies or are they bigoted and insensitive when it comes to race? And honestly, I couldn't really tell because they weren't talking about racial issues, at least not the ones going on in the United States. It says something to me when John in particular is making all of these videos about Syria and the Arab Spring and the Israeli conflicts and all these conflicts going on overseas. And then right here you have black American citizens being murdered for no reason, and then a system that is purported to protect its citizens actually working against them. Not a peep. Nothing. As if that's not news. As if that's not a relevant current event. As if that's not worth their time. Trayvon Martin is murdered. No mention. Zimmerman is ruled not guilty. No mention. Jordan Davis. Who? Michael Brown, murdered, left in the street for 4 hours. Crickets. Racism? We're not gonna discuss race on our channel. We don't have a race problem. That's not relevant. Oh, let's just do an entire video on mass incarceration and not mention race at all. Because that's not at the core of the issue. That's not a central part of the problem. When it comes to these issues, white silence is white consent. Especially when you dance around an issue that is clearly relevant to what you're discussing. Like if you're fighting world suck and racism isn't on your list of things worth talking about and fighting against, we can't be friends. We can't be friends. I'm sorry, we can't be friends. Not until Michael Brown's killer was found guilty did Hank finally make a video that referenced racial injustice in America. Referenced. This is less than a year ago. And they've been fighting world suck for how long? Shows me where I am on their list of priorities. So before this calendar year, I did not feel comfortable calling myself a nerdfighter because I refused to follow two white men who erased the struggles of black people through omission, which is what they had been doing. Even in the way they had programmed VidCon in the past, that is what they had been doing. They've been fighting against world suck, but not the world I lived in. You know, you might feel nervous talking about race because it's not something you feel experienced in, or you feel like it might alienate some of your viewers. But holding a position of white privilege and not talking about race, in times when it is clearly relevant, alienates people of color. So are you gonna stay within your comfort zone and support the status quo, or are you going to lift up minorities? At the end of December last year, the Vlogbrothers started to change their voice. They started addressing that race is a relevant issue and began treating it as such. They discovered the awesomeness that is Aquila, obviously. Yas, girl, yas. They did an excellent video on racism in the United States and made a playlist lifting up voices of color, which I will also link. This year, VidCon was inclusive. The race and representation panel was taken seriously and put on the main stage. And they finally invited Swoozie. Finally! Thank you! Took them about long enough. As the Vlogbrothers have become more conscious of race, I've become more comfortable identifying as a nerdfighter and have found more black nerdfighters. So I thank the Vlogbrothers for not ignoring us, for continuing to grow in their awareness, for using their power and privilege to support communities that are not their own, and for fighting the world suck that may make them feel uncomfortable, but still needs to be fought. As always, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. I'm sure there will be plenty. Remember to live spiritedly and think creatively, and I will see you next time. In a world that can't agree that Black lives matter, much less Black stories, simply asserting the validity of my presence could put me at risk. You see me mowing my front lawn. I know in my heart they think I'm white and nerdy.